Oh, what's up, chat? No screaming today. Only grinding. I'm trying not to irk my mother too much because she's in the room next door. For some reason, well, let's not go into it. It'll just piss me off even more. I just am in a constant struggle to try and convince boomer Japanese woman to that when the National Weather Service issues a heat advisory and warns millions of people that they are dying of heat stroke, that is in fact the time to turn on air conditioning. And then she'll just be like, oh good, just make me feel uncomfortable, raise my blood pressure, you know, that shit. The joys of living with an old person. I haven't made that much progress since last stream because I was grinding Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins, also known as the Chaos game. AC raises the barometric pressure of a room? No, she's saying it raises her blood pressure. Or more like when it started hitting the mid-80s and stuff. She started talking about how nice it was now that it was hot. Her blood pressure was going down. So she basically is constantly passive-aggressively telling me that I can't turn on the air conditioner. But, you know, when it becomes hot enough in which the government is literally telling me that you're going to die if you don't have air conditioning, that's when the air conditioning is turned on. So yeah, I am turning on the air conditioning. Note that for some reason my room is in the hottest room in the house that with no insulation, and my mother is using the room next door, which apparently is the coolest room in the house because the vent is directly next to like the central AC vent that pushes all the cold air up. So I'm like, why can't I be in your room? And she's like, nah. I was like, okay, whatever. You win. My mom's the same way. There's a reason why Arizona and Florida are full of old people. Old people love hot environments. This is primarily because as you grow older, all your muscles start to atrophy. And your muscles are generally what is producing heat in your body. So the old people, they're constantly feeling cold because they don't have any heat-producing organs in their body. And then that's why they have to all move to the desert where they suck up all the groundwater so they can fund their golf courses. And then in like 20 years there will be no water in Arizona, shockingly. And they'll be like, oh, what? How did that happen? You know, the boomer generation do be like that. They should be like Japanese old people and play full contact rugby. Japanese old people played a different variation of golf. They played gate ball. I think I guess gate ball is what, croquet? Are gate ball and croquet different things, guys? I think I've only heard the term gate ball in Japan. Gate ball versus croquet. Gate ball and croquet are both mallet sports with similar origins, but they have distinct differences in gameplay and strategy. Gate ball is a faster, team-oriented game with a smaller court and simpler equipment. Anyways, if you watch Japanese news on a pretty regular occasion, the government will issue advisories trying to inform their boomer population that, yes, when it's 40 degrees Celsius, you should turn on the air conditioning. But every year there's still thousands of old Japanese people who kill themselves by refusing to turn on air conditioning, and they just die from heat stroke because they can't recognize that their body is overheating, because that's what happened when you're old. A lot of your functions start to weaken, including the functions that notify you that in fact you're about to die. But yeah, our AC fucking the AC just stopped working a few days ago, like 3 days ago, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. Here comes the heat wave. But luckily, the local HVAC repairman was able to show up and fucking repair it before we got hit by the heat. Also, my mother actually paid for the repairs, so despite her passive-aggressively trying to get me to not turn on the AC, at least she understands that the house needs to have AC, and she didn't actually just like straight up say no, we're not going to have AC, period. But that's about all the good things I can say regarding this. The emotion on that face, when it comes to bullying childhood friends, I will be #1 in the industry. I will not let anybody beat me on this sport. The non-contact sport of bullying childhood friends in anime. They must suffer. The more childhood friends suffer, the harder my dick gets. That's why I bought a portable AC. I can just use it whenever, everyone else be damned. People have been telling me that I should get a window AC forever, but my room is so hot that I feel like it's kind of a wasted investment. Also, you can't just install Windows AC. You have to like figure out all the drainage and shit, so it's not that simple. But our house is supposed to have renovations go on this year in the fall, so they will be installing insulation in my room area after that, and we'll see how cool my room is after there's insulation. And if it's still too hot, then that's when I'll buy a AC, but I'm thinking that I probably won't have to. Gotta make sure the eyeballs are the same size. The The fact that her hair is so ugly is proof of that. I think her hair is great. And so does Will. We need more short hair queens. Short hair is the best. When you learn why she had short hair, you will be ashamed of your words and deeds. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that it's your fault why society is collapsing. People like you who don't support women to have short hair. That's why in America, the only people who have short hair are lesbian bull dykes and stuff like that. At least among girls. And everybody else has fucking ugly ass Fox newscaster bullshit hair. Does she count as a tomboy? I think if your childhood friend goes on expeditions with you to catch bugs and stuff, then she's a tomboy. So yeah, she counts as a tomboy. I married a tomboy. Stop fucking bragging in chat. No one wants to hear the size of your dick or how successful you are in romancing your tomboy wife. My wife is my best friend, said someone who is successful in life. And to that, all I have to say is, I have no friends, LMAO. Much less my wife being my best friend. We don't got any of that around here. What racist thing do you have to say today? I think TJ McConnell is an excellent example of how white NBA players can overcome the superior natural physical gifts of black players by using their traditional hard white player work ethic and their hustle and craftiness. I guess you don't use craftiness when you talk about white players. If it's a white player and they use a skill, that means they're like fundamentally sound. Craftiness is a word you have to use with black players because you want to insinuate that they're possibly going to steal something. We don't really get the 90s, the standard racial stereotypes in our sportscasting anymore. It's a shame because I grew up on it. They kind of phased all of that out around 2000 or so. See, I was trying to figure out whether I want to give her blacks of the eyes, and I think it was the correct decision not to. I spent a lot of time just staring at my images, trying to figure out what kind of an impression the image gives. The good thing is that with layers, you don't really have to choose one or the other. You can have multiple layers and turn them on and off and try and figure out what you like better. That's why I have a million layers, because I can always just turn them on and off and make tiny little adjustments to the picture without having to redraw anything. You might think that professionals don't do this, but in fact they do this, except they don't do it with digital. If you watch it like the making of manga pages, documentaries and stuff, there are a lot of authors that would be working in analog pen stuff, and they would just have to like fucking redraw a page or like cut off a single panel and then like draw a different panel on a different piece of paper and then like tape it onto that page and shit like that. They would have to do the same type of shit if they didn't like how something looked, except it would just take them way more time and they'd have to do a lot of pain in the ass shit. Do the chapters go like this? Aubrey chapter, Xana chapter, Aubrey, Xana, Xana, Aubrey. It goes Will MC chapter, then it goes Xana chapter, Aubrey, and we're at chapter 4 right now, so that's how far we've gotten so far. Maybe I do like it with the blacks and the eyes more. Can't say for sure. You play the Raido remake? I'm gonna be totally honest. I don't actually like Atlas games except for very specific ones. And by very specific ones, I mean Persona 2 and 3 and 4. In fact, maybe not even 3. Maybe just 2 and 4. I played a little bit of Raido before the remake, and I wasn't really into it. I don't care how good Kaneko is at designing devils and shit. I don't like his character designs. Although he did design, like, Persona characters as well, I guess, but you know what I mean. I don't like his chalk white skin that he draws for all the characters. No, I meant on which girl is winning. You'll have to decide for yourself. This isn't a dating sim, so there isn't a handy-dandy best friend that you can call up to ask you which girls have what level of, you know, how much they like. I guess that's not how that works. It's the opposite, because it's the harem rom-com manga, so it's how much the MC likes each girl instead of the other way around, but you know what I mean. The MC is a extension of the reader, so therefore you're supposed to decide which girl you like more, and then when the author doesn't cooperate with your vision of how shit should turn out, you're supposed to fucking piss off, get angry, and then write a long Reddit post about how Naruto should have married Sakura and how Hinata is a stupid bitch slut and she doesn't deserve Naruto-kun or whatever Narusaku fan shippers are doing in 2025. Brother Chun-Li back in Fortnite shop, my fellow gooners. Thank you for that helpful PSA. I'm sure there are many Fortnite players who also enjoy masturbating who have been waiting for this opportunity to purchase the Fortnite Chun-Li skin so they can ejaculate while they play the most common Zoomer shooter. This is an important knowledge check for all of you out there. Make sure to go buy the Chun-Li skin while you still have the opportunity. I hate Persona because its writers ruined the plot of SMT4. Am I assuming? Yeah, but I need a scapegoat to blame for the plot being schizophrenic. Let's be honest. Which Shin Megami Tensei games are actually good besides Strange Journey? If we're gonna be brutally honest. I say this as someone who doesn't play Shin Megami Tensei games at all. There's a reason why Persona is more popular than SMT, despite SMT being around for way longer. It's because SMT is its own little niche genre, and its stories don't really appeal to people. I, of course, already have it on my Fortnite locker. Is the Chun-Li skin the primary go-to option when people want to masturbate looking at their Fortnite characters, or are there other options? I know they announced some other Gooner skins, but they're not as blatant as Chun-Li. I feel like Chun-Li is like the introduction to jacking off to Fortnite characters, but the true Fortnite masturbator aficionados they'll have other options, you know. In your comic creation, do you finalize the script story first before you work on the character designs? I didn't spend much time on the character designs, not gonna lie. I just sort of banged them out and didn't worry too much. If I ever go pro, it might be a different setup, but I'm not sure. I knew I wanted to have some sort of general story, the general... See, because I'm a parody author, when I design characters, they're often meant to be a reference to pre-existing notions and stuff. So I don't think too much about it. Like, Aubrey is sort of taking on her own, I don't know, actions and livelihood, but she's supposed to be based off of the standard classic tomboy short hair childhood friend archetype. It's Chun-Li, not Chun-Li. Bro, if you want to correct me on my pronunciation of Chun-Li, you should speak in, make sure you say it in the correct Chinese. Zhongli, zhou what's about you have to do the intonation goes up or down. That kind of stuff. Up, down. And if your intonation is wrong, you end up saying the incorrect thing. See, thank you for info on your process. I don't really have a process. I'm figuring out my process right now. We're a work in progress. I can give you more information on my process in maybe a year and a half or so, I think, is the timeline. If we're going by how professional manga artists work on these things, when they're designing the characters and shit, they'll first have like a plot, like a basic plot plan that they'll send to the editors, and then the editors were like, this is shit. Please revise it, and then they have to revise it. That's usually what happens. If you read the tankobon volumes of manga, often they'll have the earliest plot plans of the manga before they became official, because they need to fill up the pages, you know, the extra pages. So they'll have like this is what Kakashi looked like before the finalized version and stuff. For example, Kakashi was supposed to be a ninja that says something something gozaru at the end of every sentence. And the editor was like, nah, let's not make him a gozaru ninja. The editor for Naruto was very successful and smart. Have you gone through the process with an editor? I have an editor's, business card that I got back in like high school. But I don't even know if he's still employed by Jump at this point. So if I was going to start working with an editor, what you do is you set up a meeting with the Jump office, and then you just bring your manga to them. And if they like you, they're like, okay, I will be responsible for you now. But if they don't like you, they won't give you the business card. And I thought it was just like everybody automatically got the business card and they automatically got assigned an editor. But I started watching YouTube and a lot of people were like, I met with all these different publishing companies and none of them gave me a business card. I was like, oh, well, maybe I was just talented even back then or some shit like that. But if I look at my old stuff, I'm like, this is total trash. So I wouldn't have given me a business card. On the other hand, I probably like manga less than professional editors. I'm probably less passionate about the craft than they are, so... I can't, like, I shit on editors a lot because I think they get too much credit for manga being successful, and I don't think they're as important as a lot of manga fans think they are. But I couldn't imagine doing that job. Because think about it, you have to read all of this manga that's brought into you by amateurs. Manga that is so fucking horrible that it's probably painful to read and you don't even understand what's going on. And you have to, like, not shit on it. And you have to be like, oh, you just need to work on this and you still have, you know, plenty of room to grow and stuff like that. Because, like, everybody's gonna be shit at drawing in the beginning and stuff, so you have to, you know, not be like, you should break your pen and never draw another picture again, you fucking worthless, untalented hack. To like a 14-year-old, you're not allowed to say that, so I could never do that job. I don't know about other magazines, but the Shonen Jump editors you can meet pretty quickly and easily. Because Shonen Jump it's basically an easy in, easy out institution. You know how Shonen Jump manga are constantly getting canceled? So because if they're super aggressive at canceling people, they also need to be super prepared to find new talent at all times. So they make sure that they're always trying to search for new kids that they can use up and spit out again. This is different, for example, if it's a different magazine. Shonen Sunday, for example, still has Detective Conan going on for 100 volumes. I guess that's the same as One Piece, but they generally give too much credit and too much space to their, you know, their old authors. They still have Takashi Rumiko running a series and stuff like that, so that means just less space for new kids. Like, if you read the Shonen Jump magazine, pretty frequently you'll get manga that are like, why the fuck did this guy get a series? But it's because the editors were like, we should gamble on this person to see if they were going to be a hit or not. Ironically, they failed to gamble on the biggest hit of all, which was Attack on Titan. The Attack on Titan author went to Shonen Jump, and they kicked them out, and they're like, bro, you can't draw for shit. But, you know, nobody can hit 100. If the editors could really properly predict what will be a big success and what wouldn't be a big success, then they wouldn't have to cancel any manga, and they wouldn't have to... They would be making a shit ton of money, even more money than they already do, but nobody actually knows what's going to be popular. It's very hard to predict the future, whether it's NBA prospects or a manga author that isn't particularly good at drawing at the moment, but might become better in the future, you know? Three stream streak. You did it, guys. Making sure that I make Aubrey's eyebrows nice and dark. And I want to make them fully black, but she has slightly thick eyebrows near the center of her forehead. This is important. When I'm trying to figure out whether I need to alter something on a page, every single time I'm trying to figure out whether a page or a panel is finished, I have to export it as a PNG and then look at it in PNG format. Because the colors are slightly different in PNG format in the image reader than they are when you look at them in Clip Studio Paint. Whatever. Thanks for the tip. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But the lines become darker when I look at them in my page reader on my separate monitor. See, this is something that probably changes depending on how people are reading your image. Like if they're looking at it on their phone, it's going to be different from when if they're looking at it on a 4K monitor and so on. So it's not actually going to be consistent. But I always try and export it when I'm trying to figure out. Also, I try and export it and then I try and read it in the form of manga instead of just looking at it as an image. Like I'll actually read it from the previous page or 2 or 3 pages before to make sure it works as a manga panel instead of just a still image. Because when you're drawing it, when you're looking at the same image for forever, it becomes a still image in your brain. But it has to actually function as a manga panel, which means it has to be like moving in terms of in response to people's eyes. The people's eyes work different when they're reading something than when they're looking at something, you know? That's the biggest difference between manga and American comics, is that American comics are basically you're just looking at a still image, whereas manga you're reading. The eyes are flipping past the pages very quickly. And each panel has to encourage the movement of the eye toward the next panel. So how is everyone doing? I would ask if you guys are enjoying the heat wave, but I assume a lot of you people are Euros instead of Americans, so... Europeans don't do AC right. I always see them complain about summer heat. Yes, European summers were usually much cooler, so they didn't need AC for a while until we got global warming, and now they just die. I remember I went to Eastern Germany on a trip. I don't know, it was back in like 2001, 2002, maybe back then, around then. And it was an unnaturally hot summer for the time in Germany, and you could kind of smell the body odor of the German people because the train cars, they didn't have air conditioning. And of course, Europeans don't take as much showers or baths as Japanese people do, so it was like, ah, yes, white guy body odor. I can smell it. Feels good, man. I checked the LA temps and it's hitting 37°C, yes. On the other hand, Los Angeles is used to being hell, essentially. Their entire... The hills are burning. They're glowing with fire. And also it's too hot as well. I assume people who move to LA are okay with living in scorching heat, so I don't have any sort of sympathy for them. Get fucked, Los Angeles. You deserve everything that comes to you. Feels good, smells good, oof. I said the German people smelled bad. And by German people, I mean old white people, not, you know, sexy young women in lederhosen or whatever. So, there's no sniffa to be happening here. You should not be getting excited. The vast majority of body odor is not coming from your sexy track Japanese anime girl wearing those like super short track shorts. It's not like what you imagine. LA stopped being hell challenge difficulty impossible. It was meant to be that way. They were talking about the LA riots and stuff in response to Trump. And how Trump didn't need to call in the National Guard. And they were like, yeah, people were setting fire to cars during the anti-Trump protests, but they also set fire to a bus after the Dodgers won the World Series, so I was like, yeah, that's a good point. Hashtag, let's fucking go Dodgers. Whoa! Is this anime girl also my sister or my stepsister? No, she's your friend. Being your longtime friend is even better than your sister. Something has to get smashed when your team wins or loses, depending on if you're too pissed. They should really stop setting fires and then complain that the state is on fire. I mean, the problem is that California is a location of the desert, so as soon as somebody does a little bit of arson, the entire state goes up in flames. This wouldn't happen if this was like a different state where there's a moderate amount of rainfall. But you know, when people talk about LA and why it's so great, they're always like, oh, it's so sunny. Not like your other shitty states where there's rain. It's like, yeah, guys, you wonder why your entire city is burning down from wildfires? It's because it never rained, dumbass. Maybe you shouldn't be living in a place where it never rains. But everyone's like, oh, sunny LA, I fucking love it. So awesome. The trees that were planted there like 100 years ago just happened to be perfectly min-maxed to burn like kindling. Let's pretend like the Lakers are good. See, he literally starts I Love LA with talking about how New York is cold and damp, you know? Fuck yeah, let's go! Is LA the fake boob capital of the world? If it's not LA, it's probably like Miami, but I think it is LA. Actually, it's probably somewhere in Brazil. It's probably not LA anymore. Jesus saves. I love LA. Apparently this was, like many other songs, supposed to be like a parody of, if you actually listen to the lyrics, he lists a lot of like shitty parts about LA, but like all songs about how you love a city, when you're being sarcastic, it always ends up being like an anthem of that location. Like American Girl was by a Canadian band about how they fucking hate American girls, but now it's an American song. Look how thin people were back in the day. You know what? I wish GTA 6 wasn't set in modern day. GTAs shouldn't just be set in a different city. They should be always set in the past. They should have gone back to the 80s. Like, I know it limits some of the stuff they can do technology-wise, but if we're gonna use all that Rockstar artistic direction, they should also do it to recreate a different time, you know? Yeah, keep the 80s and 90s. In fact, you can even go back from the 80s. We can even go like 70s and stuff. Yeah, they should do like 70s LA or 70s Miami. GTA 4 story was peak though. I don't know, man. I thought it was pretty annoying. I can't tell if they wanted you to feel like you didn't like any of the other characters, but that's certainly how I felt. It made me feel extremely lonely, which is a feature of New York, so I guess that's a pretty accurate depiction of New York, but how people would constantly call you up and be like, hey, Nico, want to hang out? I'd be like, not really. I can't really, you know, sympathize with any of you people. Chicago. Do I want to play GTA in Chicago? I want Vegas, honestly. I know we had Vegas and San Andreas, but I think I would like a GTA game that's set entirely in Vegas and like the desert around it. I think that's good enough for me. I don't necessarily need LA. I think we should just go full Vegas mode. We should have like Vegas and Reno. Is Reno close to Vegas? I guess it doesn't matter if it's GTA. Wait, what was Vegas called in San Andreas? It's been so long I forgot what it was called. Uh, it's not Vice City, that's Miami. Doesn't it seem to you that generational styles have disappeared after the millennium? The 90s and 80s seem more beautiful to me than today in terms of style. Well, we're only gonna really be able to figure that shit out like 10 years or 20 years from now. Because people are now being nostalgic about like the 2000 between 2010 era. So, we'll see. There doesn't seem as to be as many iconic things, though. Besides the horrible Zoomer hairstyle. Also, the fact that hip hop has turned to garbage. Those are the only things I can like really point out as obvious trademarks of this era. Hip hop is garbage, and the Zoomers have horrible hair. That's about it. Fuck bro, Chun-Li is fucking thick. I don't care if I lose games for real, for real. Mullets should have stayed dead. I'm specifically talking about the Zoomer hairstyle that you guys know the one. This one. I can't imagine people would be like, you see that hair that the nerdy Jewish kid has? I want that. I want the hair that the Jewish kid is getting bullied for. Give me that look. Bussing for real, for real. No cap. Also, out of all the Zoomer speak, that is really pisses me off. That is starting to grow recently. The thing that pisses me off the most is when people do the ah thing, where they just say ah, and you're supposed to try and infer what they're trying to mean with just the exclamation of where the word, they put the word ah in there. It's not even a word, it's just a sound. Because I listen to NBA podcasts, and one podcast has one podcaster who just speaks too much black for me to be comfortable. And it was fine until recently when he started making the ah thing. And now I'm just like, I can't fucking do this anymore. It's like, words, bitch. Can you use them? Your job is literally a podcaster. Using words is your job. Don't try and substitute them with the sound of some animal dying. What the fuck? I thought they were censoring ass as ah. I don't know. I don't even give a fuck. At this point, it just seems like they are completely giving up on their responsibility to communicate with other human beings, where they're not even saying a word and just saying ah. Does the new generation of young people in Japan use brain rot language, riz, gat, etc.? So the thing about Japanese is, Japanese is way better at devising new words and stuff. And people don't freak out about new words. So it's not really considered to be brain rot in the way it is in English. I don't know. Japanese is just better at both maintaining the beauty of the original language without letting that part die out, while also introducing new words. There's a weird harmony to the whole thing. It's a more expressive language than English in that way. It's not good for science and stuff, but it's very good for stuff like poetry and creative writing. There isn't this inherent tension with like the young people inventing their own new words. Like when young people invent their new words, it's kind of celebrated by society. They even have this yearly award for the best new word. I'm gonna get the fattest ass Gyatebayo. In retrospect, the translator's attempt at translating Datebayo as believe it was a pretty good attempt. I give them a 8 out of 10 in their translation. I don't know what would be a better substitute for Datebayo. Promoting illiteracy is the American way. Americans be like, why are you reading a book? Get on the couch and start watching TV so you can become a proper American. So my mother actually came to the United States in the 60s, and apparently the family that was housing her would literally tell her to stop reading books and watch more TV, and I was like, LMAO, that's so American. Peak American energy right there. I love stupid people, Benjamin Franklin. He also loved French whores, but we're not asking Americans to all become French whores now, are we? If only Naruto stayed in his female Shadow Clone form and married Sasuke, such wasted potential. But that wouldn't be gay then. It would be straight because he would be female. I think we can all agree that Naruto is only Kino if Naruto and Sasuke are making love in their full male bodies. Full penetrative anal sex between the two. That's the only way for Naruto to reach its fullest potential. I still think it's fucking hilarious that Sakura got a pity fuck from Sasuke at the end. And she has to be a single mother raising his child that he doesn't give a fuck about. It makes you wonder if he actually openly said to her, like, okay, I'll come inside you, but just remember I'm never coming home. You're gonna have to raise this kid by yourself. She was a femcel until she became a single mom. True. It do be like that. She learned from her master, Tsunade, who is also a femcel, when she isn't getting gangbanged after she passes out in the local bar. He fucks off to do secret missions. Having gay sex is still a secret mission, guys. He's collecting information, okay? Danzo did nothing wrong. I can't even remember the entire plot of like why Sasuke is like darkness, blah blah blah. It's just because the Konoha elites were like, we should just kill this entire family, or was his family like planning a coup d'etat or some shit? So then the Konoha was like, nah, and they just got knocked off, and then Sasuke was like darkness because of that. Is Sasuke basically Trump being like January 6th was a peaceful group of tourists and they did nothing wrong? I think Choji bagging that red-haired, dark-skinned baddie was Pog. I mean, you can just tell that Choji fucks. If there's one thing that anime and manga has taught me is that if a guy is super fat, that means he's in the ugly bastard territory and he's gonna give women incredibly potent sex. You know, the opposite of what happens in real life. In real life, if you're obese, your sex drive is decreased. But in the anime and hentai world, the ugly bastard gene activates. It's especially powerful if you're dating a small loli girl and then you crush them with your fat body weight. The size difference tag is very powerful. It's pretty funny how the entire Naruto story is about, like, maintaining bloodlines and, like, trad wife having kids and stuff. And then except the main characters of the story are pretty clearly gay. If you think about it, like, the entire moral of the Naruto story is, like, even if you're gay, you have to stay closeted so you can pass on your superior ninja genes. It's the only way. You're not allowed to come out, guys. I was going to ask about Kishimoto, but can you think about all mangakas? Where is the money? Aren't they rich? I mean, living in mansion and having yacht type rich? Yes. The answer is yes, they are giga rich. They didn't give the impression of being rich at all because Japanese people aren't really about conspicuous wealth, even if they have a shit ton of money. Japanese is a culture in which all of the kids basically go to the same primary school, and people don't do conspicuous displays of wealth and stuff very often. It's like, it's failing in its cyberpunk dystopia, basically. If you want that level of cyberpunk dystopia, you have to go to Korea and stuff. Even when people get super rich in terms of their bank account, they generally live in a similar middle class lifestyle. Yeah, everybody loves saving money. People are like, what's your hobby? My hobby is saving money. That's an actual thing that Japanese people say. They claim that their hobby is saving up money. I'm like, what the fuck are these people talking about? But it do be like that. How do you feel about Junji Ito's writing? I think it's pretty fucking good. You know, there's a lot of horror authors besides Junji Ito out there, but there's a reason why he gets way more traction in the West and stuff like that than other horror authors, and it's because his writing isn't just spooky. It has a way of capturing the imagination in a way that goes beyond just being spooky for a few pages at a time. Also, because it's horror, nothing actually has to make sense, you know? Also, I want Tomie to suck my dick, and then, like, I want to cut off her head, and then watch her grow out of a flower pot or something. That would be pretty awesome. I want my eldritch horror girlfriend now, Junji Ito. If we look for Tomie sexy images, will I get an image of her, like, decapitated? If you Google Tomie, you get YouTuber being like, Tomie makeup tutorial. I wonder if she actually attached a prosthetic face. I'm guessing not. She's perfect, guys. Where do I find a girlfriend with a second face growing out of her one face? Ooh, yuck, she has tattoos on her hand. My perfect eldritch horror girlfriend would never be a tattooed skank. Do not want. Double face blowjob, I know, right? We got done dirty with PT Silent Hill's cancellation. Let's be honest though, if PT was a full-length game, it wouldn't be as scary. It's super scary. The Legend of PT is so cool because it almost feels like some lost videotape in a horror movie at this point. If we got like a full release of it, it probably wouldn't be as cool. But yeah, we did get done dirty. Again, fuck Konami, as usual. Has anyone been playing the Silent Hills in Japan version? Wait, that isn't... Was there a trailer? Or is there like a demo? I can't remember. I guess you can't play it yet, right? I'm not following any Silent Hills news because it's not important to me. I don't really care about Silent Hills. The spookiness eventually settles down. Just trailer, I believe. Japan is just spookier than America. I think it's a better setting than America, even though it seems incorrect to do that with Silent Hill. Also, you know, it's always hot to have Japanese high school girls wearing uniforms and running around in uniforms because then it's hot when they get eaten by zombies or whatever. The Ryonaguro Sexo. is always good. I don't know. I feel a little. I'm not interested in getting a video game in which I'm gonna finish in like 15 hours without any replayability. I don't buy Resident Evil games at full price, and they have more replayability than Silent Hill, so you really have to be super into Silent Hill to be like, I'm gonna pay $70 for this 8-hour experience, you know? I was never cool with that. On the other hand, you can't really have like an 80-hour horror game either, so it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. I've only played one Silent Hill game, and that's Silent Hill 4: The Room. I felt like I should play it because, well, back in the day we still had video and video game rental stores, so it was easier to just pick up a game that you weren't really committed to. But being locked inside your room because you're Hikinito shut in seemed like a very relevant concept to me. It's like, hey, he's just like me, he can't leave his room. He's trapped in his room just like me, that's cool. So I decided to play it. It wasn't a great game as video games go. I mean, think about it. Silent Hill is just like, you're just wandering around foggy environments trying to find whatever key item to activate the next story segment. I haven't played 1 or 2 or 3, so I wouldn't really know, but that's my impression. I need to play through Silent Hill 2 so I can get to 3 and play cutie Heather Mason. People just like Silent Hill because they want to have sex with Heather. And the bubblehead nurses. It's just like Resident Evil. People just want to fuck Jill. Horror Aubrey. Yes, there's no light in her eyes. Did you like Silent Hill: The Room? It was okay. I'm glad I only paid $6 to play it. The graphics were really good for PS2 though. Late stage PS2 games had crazy good graphics. There was a lot of PS2 graphics that looked better than the PS3 games that followed them because nobody knew how to program for the PS3. So shit looked like muddy as fuck. The textures looked awful in PS3 half the time, unless it was like an Uncharted game because Naughty Dog actually knew how to program for it. Meanwhile, PS2 was like such a popular platform, everybody knew how to like maximize the quality of everything, so a lot of PS2 games just straight up look better than PS3 games if you look back at it. My powerful cell processing. I don't know how the cell processor works, but I assume that it's like the way that the programming was going on was like there's like what cell processors like this, and then people didn't know how to fucking program, so they were only using like 2 of the cells, and then like for the 360 they'd be using all of it, and as a result the PS3 would have like 20 frames per second right here. This is my interpretation of the situation with my extremely limited stem cell brain, which is to say I have no fucking idea how it's working other than the fact that PS3 games were often shit. But every once in a while you would get a developer who actually fully understood the technology, and like Uncharted games would look amazing, but that was about it. Was Shadow of the Among Us PS2 or PS3? It was PS2, and then there was a PS3 remastered version, which didn't look much better, and then there was the Blue Point remake for PS4. So it's been remade quite a bit. How the fuck do I know what you're talking about when you say Shadow of Among Us? Can we stop calling everything Among Us now? I can't remember how the Among Us feet are. They have feet like this. The ass cheeks might be a little small. Hold on, let me correct that. That was retro with Metroid Prime on the GameCube. It completely smashed everything else on GameCube graphics. I mean, the GameCube was a more powerful system than the PS2. This was especially noticeable if you played like Resident Evil 4 on GameCube and then like played the PS2 version. The GameCube was a pretty powerful machine. The last time you would ever say that regarding a Nintendo console ever again. Although I am watching people play Mario Kart World right now, and it looks pretty good. I will give them that. It looks like they finally have a machine that keeps up with modern graphics. I guess it's just because graphics have stagnated at this point since the PS4 that it truly doesn't matter if Nintendo is still using outdated hardware. And also they probably have programmers that can properly program for Mario Kart World. We'll see how shitty the graphics are when Game Freak releases the next Pokemon and it looks like legitimately like a PS2 game again. And we're like, there we go, there's Game Freak. That's the Game Freak we all know and love. Completely incapable of programming anything. Feels good, man. GameCube used AMD right, hence the superior graphics. Yeah, but they didn't really use the superior graphics in most cases because, you know, there weren't many games to begin with. But there weren't, you know, graphic-heavy games very often. Also, it has shitty controller syndrome. I don't care what people say. The GameCube controller kind of sucks. What is it with Nintendo where Sony clearly has figured out how to create the modern controller design when they're like, no, we're smarter than you, Sony. We're not just going to have 2 bumpers and 2 triggers and then 2 joysticks or thumbsticks. That makes too much sense. Instead, we have to have all the buttons arranged in a fucking retarded manner. They're basically Apple. I've said this many times, but they're exactly like Apple, and they're like, no, we're not just going to use a USB-C charger. That would be too simple. We have to use our proprietary design to make your life shittier. WSG. My hemorrhoid isn't bleeding everywhere since yesterday. We'll see how that changes. I still love the meme that they ported a tree from Ocarina of Time for Sword and Shield. LMAO. I mean, I didn't really feel that it was that bad in Sword and Shield. When I really felt that it looked shitty was Scarlet and Violet. I can't even remember. Was Sword and Shield native to Switch? They were both originally released for Switch, right? So Sword and Shield came out in 2019. Huh. Yeah, I don't know, man. It kind of felt like Sword and Shield looked better than Scarlet Violet. I mean, here's a review image of it. This looks bad, but it looks, you know, serviceable. I don't know. Maybe it's not serviceable. I can't say. These wall textures here are definitely N64 level wall textures. This brings me back to Ocarina of Time for sure. And that grass right there. Yeah, it looks pretty shitty, I guess. I don't know. Enjoying the Switch 2? I do not have a Switch 2, by the way. I will never have a Switch 2. I just can't justify buying any more video game consoles when I have all these unplayed games on my PS5. I don't have enough time to play all these video games. Not when I'm supposed to be drawing like 15 hours a day, you know? That's the curse of video games as a hobby, is that it's such a time-consuming hobby if you want to play all the games you want to play. Switch 2 fans enjoying their library full of DRM right now. I mean, do they have a library? Doesn't the Switch 2 have 2 games? It has Mario Kart and the welcoming tutorial game that should be free, but instead they have to pay $8 for. How are you gonna play Donkey Kong then? Not gonna lie, I never gave a fuck about 3D Donkey Kong games. Why is everyone pretending like Donkey Kong 64 is like an unappreciated classic or something now? Donkey Kong 64 is not a good game. Nobody thought it was a good game when it came out back in the day. And now we're like, yeah, Donkey Kong, now that's a great franchise. Donkey Kong hasn't been good since Donkey Kong Country, made by Rare. Oh, I guess Tropical Freeze and stuff are good, but you know, 3D Donkey Kong hasn't been good since, ever. Because DK64 has gone through 2 decades of hate and we must have a turnaround. Everything old is new again, basically. We're all just gonna pretend that we love Donkey Kong 64. Nobody was talking about Donkey Kong 64 back in the day like it was a good game, because it wasn't. We didn't even, and this was for a console that was absolutely starved for games. How are you gonna play Zelda Breath of the Wild 3? I feel like I should play Breath of the Wild at some point, but I didn't even finish Twilight Princess. I thought I liked Zelda games, but maybe I only like Ocarina of Time, which is, you know, one of the best games of all time. I finished Wind Waker, but I was like, I have to own a GameCube so I can play Wind Waker, and I have to play Twilight Princess, and so on and so on. And when I was playing Twilight Princess on my GameCube, I was like, you know what? I don't actually like this game. And I stopped playing it, and I haven't touched Zelda since then. So maybe I'm not a Nintendo fan. Maybe it's that simple. Twilight Princess mentioned I must bring up Midna Sexo. I don't want to have sex with imps. That's another issue. I want to have sex with adult Midna, but she only appears in the ending, so... If the entirety of Twilight Princess was just endless cockball torture with adult Midna instead of imp Midna, I'd be more interested, but it's not, so... Both Midnas are hot. Sorry, I'm not interested in women who are shorter than 2 feet tall, okay? I don't want to have sex with goblins. I know my comics that involve lots of prominent goblin sexo might say otherwise, but I like tall elf women. The elvish woman. archetype. Tolkien, 7-foot tall elf woman. She can give you head while you both stand up. Imps are epic. I want tall women, okay? No short queens for me. Elves are frigid. That's what makes them good. I'm also frigid because I'm on the autism spectrum. I don't want some hot-blooded, passionate female constantly bugging me about being sympathetic about her problems. I'd prefer to be around a frigid woman. Also, if there's anything we know about hentai, it's that they're only frigid until you stick your penis in them, and then they start, you know, orgasming like crazy, because that's how hentai works. Is flat chest based? I like 100% flat elf chest. Flat chest with wide hips is the correct combination, I'm gonna say. Tan skin, tall muscle girls are also peak. Wow, I'm glad everybody has figured out that they like women. Why don't you guys try naming anime female archetypes that you don't want to have sex with? Because it's kind of difficult, you know, because they're literally designed by men to be attractive. I'm picky, so of course I find anime girls that I'm not interested in, but most people are just like, hold on guys, hear me out. What about that anime girl with cat ears? I know this is crazy, but I think I want to have sex with her. It's like, wow. Such a brave man. He wants to have sex with a two-dimensional character that is designed to be attractive. Middle-aged Karen. There are no middle-aged Karen in anime. Here, let me draw a middle-aged Karen character in the anime version. What hairstyle would she have? We did it, guys. It's a Karen. Mom glasses. Here, I'll give her mom glasses. Wow, she's so fucking old. I've seen doujin that steal the character Baz from Concord, and it kills me every time. I can't remember what's going on with her hair in the... You know, there's an alternative universe where Baz was just a joke character instead of representative of the entirety of the rest of the roster. And she was actually memorable. Because it's okay to have ugly characters if you have, like, you know, the rest of the roster is actually attractive. Please put mole on her cheek. You can have mole under the eye or mole on the cheek. She works for Homeowners Association. We all work for the Homeowners Association. They rule everything. She probably lives in Florida. That's a cougar. I mean, I think there's overlap between Karens and cougars. I feel like when a cougar, instead of demanding sex from younger men, starts demanding the local manager to see the local manager, she becomes a Karen. They sort of go together, you know. Karens don't look that hot. Yeah, I think Karen is more of a behavior thing, just like tomboy is a behavior thing. You earn your Karen badge by being obnoxious. Even if you're hot, if you start calling for the manager because you feel like the store didn't provide you with the correct amount of service, I think everybody can be a Karen. Baz's design is so bad that it rolls around to being funny as fuck. As someone who's been playing Stranger of Paradise, a beloved video game, besides the fact that it has really good action, I feel like Stranger of Paradise is the actual definition of it's so bad it's good. Like, at every single moment, the dialogue and shit is so bad. It's so bad it actually is good. I think most stuff when we say it's so bad it's good, it's not actually good. It's actually pretty still bad. But in the case of Stranger of Paradise, it actually is good. I'm here to kill chaos. Every time someone says chaos in Stranger of Paradise, you just have to stand up and clap, you know? You're like, look, he said it again. They said chaos. Chaos is here. Ball claims to adore 2000's core but shelved Twilight Princess fake fan. I didn't like 2000's core at the time. And the only reason I like it now is because the current state of things is so bad. I never thought listening to Evanescence 5,000 times was that much fun. Wake me up inside!
Nah,
Take it, boy.
Move it up. Gang it up.
I feel like full power Van could have beaten Mark Wolf. He was handicapping himself, but I feel like at full strength Van is more powerful.
Nah,
You can see that none of the Lord of the Locker Room fights are actually legitimate fights because, like, deep down they're all planning to suck each other's dicks anyways. So the punishment of having whoever loses has to suck dick isn't really, you know, like, there's no real stakes there.
Semen.
Like, it's not really punishment, you know.
boy next door. Dark.
Spanking. Ass.
Boy door. Come. Move it up. Gang it up. Gang website. You anal.
I don't really know how to do the shading here.
Nah,
What's the most 2000s core songs? I mean, I think this is it right here. Nickelback? Is Nickelback 2000s core? I feel it's more like 2010s core, but maybe not. Same energy as an anime girl going, if I win, you have to marry me, and if I lose, you have to have sex with me. Feels good, man. My tsundere girlfriend. Green Day, Limp Bizkit. Green Day is 90s core, I feel. Maybe that's just me being dated. My Chemical Romance, yeah. Gotchi 2000s. Is there Gotchi Outcast? There's not much Gotchi Outcast. There's only one Gotchi Outcast. Interesting. Well, considering we were talking about Zelda. Cocktown. First gay. Honestly, this is pretty damn good.
don't stop.
7 years ago. Would you say anime improved or worsened your life? Anime hasn't really affected my life very much, not gonna lie. I just pretend like I like anime, but I don't actually spend much time watching anime at all. wonder if there's gachi anime openings based on Asian Kung Fu Generation. Obviously, I see Asian Kung Fu Generation, I think the Naruto opening. Well, there's a lot of Naruto gachi, that seems for sure.
This thing is Dungeon Masters
Man, this brings me back so many memories of Naruto Shippuden. I can feel the darkness. Rest in peace, Billy and Jiraiya. There's also a Nisei Monogatari Gachi Muchi opening. What's on Nisei Monogatari? Gachi Monogatari. Is there nobody knows Monogatari Gachi opening? There's a Renai circulation, of course.
Yes.
This isn't the famous one. Alright, that's enough gachi for now. I am about to escape from my room because it's getting hot. I didn't get much progress to work on this stream because I spent so much time making sure the facial expressions were correct, but I'll probably have a little bit more to work on the next time I stream. See you around, guys. Good night. Have a nice night.